Mug rugs are very popular these days, and they are a quick and easy project you can create yourself to explore the wonderful new features of Creative Studio version 6. My name is TJ Speiser of Stitch Happy. This video will cover a multitude of new tools available in version 6, and we will rediscover some old friends who work even better now. The version 6 features we will explore are the following: Nodes, Mirror, Order Join. We will revisit the text feature. Right-click to activate the text feature and place your text. Thanks to the new tools we have available in CS6, we can create any word or groups of words that will stitch continuously. In addition, since I receive lots of questions on crosshatching behind applique, I will also demonstrate one way that can be accomplished. We will take a look at Convert, Fill, and we will also take a new look at the Draw tools. We'll begin our mug rug project. As you can see, I've already started a project and named it Mug Rug. I'm going to add a quilt group. It's wonderful, we don't have to make a name for them now. I'm going to check to see what my grid size is set at. It's set at 2 inches. That's exactly what I want it to be set at. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to use the draw tools, starting with draw a line on the CAD, and I'm going to draw one line here, stop, and then I'm going to draw another line here and stop. Now the reason that I'm doing this is because I want my mug rug to be 4 inches by 8 inches. But I'd really like the corner rounded, and I'm going to use our new mirror tool that we have to help me out with this project. I'm going to draw an arc on the CAD. I'm going to turn off my grid snap that I had on when I was drawing my lines, and I'm going to just simply click 3 points to give me a nice rounded corner. Now, obviously, those are not connecting at all, and there's no way for me to do what I really like to do in AutoSketch, which is to trim those corners so that I can just cut off the excess and they'll just automatically connect. So I'm going to have to go about it a different way. I'm going to start by changing my grid size down to a 1/2 inch. And as you can see, my arc is pretty close to a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and change to my blue handles, my F11 blue handles, and I'm going to grid snap that. And then remember, I stopped those lines in the middle so I don't have to go back and divide them later. Now if I take a look at that and I go, oh, you know what, I really like the curve on that one. So now I want to make sure that everything's going in the proper order and that everything's going to stitch consecutively. So I'm going to click on this first segment and I'm going to click Order Join. As you can see, I have all of the segments selected and everything is going from right to left. I'm going to simply use my new mirror tool, and I'm going to, with grid snap still on, I'm simply going to mirror that first segment. Now remember, we're starting down here, but it shows that we're ending over here. Let's go ahead and grab that first segment again and use Order Join once more. Now as you can see, we have everything stitching sequentially from here to here. Now once more, I'm going to use that mirror tool with grid snap on, and as you can see, I've simply mirrored my original drawing. Go back and click that first one, choose Order Join again, and we have start and end at the same point. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead with everything selected and use Combine Group. That way I have one pattern. I started with 2 segments and an arc, and I've created a rounded cornered rectangle. I think I want to echo this so that I can just simply use a raw edge finish for my mug rug. So I'm going to right click, because I'm going to change my numbers in the echo spacing. I'm going to put 0.08, and I'm going to ask for 3 echoes. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that's going to give me basically a 1/4 of an inch edge all the way around my mug rug. So I've accomplished that, and now I need to fill in my mug rug. I'm going to draw the space our mug is going to sit on, and I think I want it over here on the left. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, I'm going to use my draw line on the CAD. I'm going to start down here, draw from right to left. Again, I think I'm going to use that arc tool and give me a nice smooth arc. Let's turn our grid snap off. Grid snap back on. And then I'm going to go back and get my line tool and do that again. All right. So this time I'm actually stitching sequentially. So let's go back and find that first segment that I drew, and we're going to use order join, and we're going to use that mirror function again. There it is. So I'm using my toggle to get back through the pieces of my drawing. I'm going to use order join again and mirror again. And I've just successfully drawn a 3" by 3" rounded cornered spot to put my mug. So let's go ahead and order join again. So now we know that this is all going sequentially. We're going to combine pattern. So now we have everything stitching in the right sequence. We have our spot for our mug, but this is going to be awfully puffy if we leave just a big 3" square. So let's put something in the center. I'm going to choose my arc tool, and I'm going to draw an arc from the center of that square. I'm going to turn off my grid snap, and I'm going to draw just a nice, pleasing arc here. I'm turning grid snap back on. And as you can see, I've successfully drawn a single arc. Now I'd like a little whirl type effect in the center of my mug spot, and so I'm going to go ahead and use one of our old tools that we just absolutely love, which is rubber stamp. Now the reason I'm using rubber stamp is because I want to be able to get the exact same arc as I had before, and I want to be able to change the start and end. So I'm going to use reverse start and end, and then I'm going to choose my F11 end snap handles, and I'm going to simply snap that back in place, and as you can see, I'm going to have this fellow going from in to out and back in again. So let's go with my toggles on my keyboard. I'm going back to the arc that was started with, and I'm going to choose order join. And now I have both of those arcs selected. As you can see, I have one end point, which is right here in the center, because this goes out and back in. Now I said I wanted a swirl around that center point, so let's go ahead and choose one of our old features, which is circle array. So I'm going to circular array, and I think I want 18 copies of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. And I think I like that a lot. What do you think? Yes? Let's go ahead and select that first arc that we had. Because we used order join, that always puts the arc or the segment of the pattern that you've selected back at the beginning. So it's going to be the first in the sequence of stitching, which would make it 0 in our sewing order. So I'm going to choose that arc, and I'm going to choose order join. Let's go back and get that little fella. And I, for some reason, don't have order join available, but let's go ahead and get it in our right click menu. So now you can see I have the swirl all selected because I used order join. Now I'm going to go ahead and select combine patterns so that I can get all of those fellas going at the same time. Chosen my orange handles, which is the center anchor handles. Now you're asking yourself what I'm going to do with this now, because it's outside the edge of my mug spot. But remember, I said we're going to use some of our tools that we had already. Well, let's go back and take this outside of the mug spot, and we're going to change it by using our convert function to a boundary. Now I can simply use our fill function, and I've just created a very nice swirl pattern to go in the center of the spot that our mug is going to sit. So now I need to go back and change that back to a stitchable line. And so now I have my mug spot. So what am I going to do in this area to the right here that's empty? Well, that's so boring to leave it like that. So how about if I put my initials in there? One of the things that Creative Studio version 6 has allowed us to do is to be able to use our text function much more effectively. So I have nothing selected on this screen, so I'm going to right click in the space outside the area of a pattern, and I'm going to choose text property, and I'm going to make it a monogram, so I'm going to make it TSJ. Now, of course, when you make this at home, you're going to want to do whatever your initials are. And then I happen to like one of my favorite fonts is French script. So let's go for bold so that it gives it a little bit more meat to the font. And I'm going to click OK. Now, obviously, it's tiny, and my S, which is my last initial, should be larger than the rest. So remember our new features that we have with nodes? Let's go ahead and play with that a bit. So let's choose nodes, and as you can see, there are no-so lines because there's a no-so line that connects the T to the S, and then there's another no-so line that connects the S to the J. So let's go ahead and take care of those first. Let's use our D for divide while we're hovering over that node, right? We've got a crosshair, and choose D. Now you can see that the J is separate, it's by itself. So let's go over here and see if we can separate the T and the S. What do you say? So now I have the T by itself, and there's my S, and there's my J. Now the one thing that I noticed that's a problem is there's still a no-so line because the J in the center has a little gap so that it wants to do a no-so line, but I really don't want that. So we're going to use our divide function again, and we're going to divide off that no-so line. And then we're going to divide the pattern so that we can actually connect those pieces. So let's go ahead and grab that center part, and we're going to connect those pieces so that we can use, and we need to turn our end snap on so that we can connect it out here to the edge. And then we're going to go ahead and grab this one. Let's see. I'm just toggling through, and I'm going to go ahead and just stretch this one out there to the end point too. And now you see that I've got this little fellow out here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this last segment, so I'm going to hit D for divide, and then I'm going to cycle to that point and get rid of that fellow. So now, as you can see, if I were to start this J, it would appear that it's going to start here and go around and come into the center and back out again. That's what it looks like to me. So let's see. Let's go ahead, and I would like to change where it's going to start. I think I want to stitch the inside first. So let's go ahead and go there. And then I don't have to go ahead and set my sewing order for any of the other segments because I can use order join now. And ta-da, there it goes. It's all joined together. So now that we have that accomplished, I'm going to go ahead and combine that J back into one piece because we had separated all the segments. So now I have a J, an S, and a T. Now I'd like to stitch them all continuously without having any no-sews. In order to do that, I'm going to size up my S so that it's significantly larger than my T and my J. And then I'm going to make it so that it touches the T just barely right here. And then I'm going to move my J over so that it's touching as well. And I think I'm going to go up just a little bit so that maybe I'll size it down just a smidgen because it just seems like it's too big. And so there's my J next to the S, so it looks more like a monogram. Now I could go much larger with my S, and maybe that's what I need to do to really make it look right. So let's do that. Let's make it just a smidge bigger, and we'll pull our T back over here, and we'll move our J back out as well. And so now we're going to simply use our nodes function again, and see how there's a node right here that's very close to the S. We're going to simply hover over it and choose divide, and then we're going to go back to the bottom of this and choose divide again so that we can separate this segment. And now we need to see if there's one on our S that we can use, and it looks like we have one right here and one right here. So now we have this segment that's pretty much by itself. In order for us to be able to tap into that, we're going to use one of our other convert functions, which is pattern to curve. And in doing so, whenever I turn my nodes function back on, you'll see that I now have multiple nodes along this curve. So now I can go ahead and divide again, and I will be able to snap this endpoint to the endpoint of the J. And then I'll take, let's get the endpoint of the, let's find that little filler again. There it is. So we're going to go ahead and snap that one up there, and then we're going to snap this one to the S, and we've got these lovely blue nodes now, which allow us to change the shape of a curve so that we don't end up with really bumpy looking curves. So here's our T. We're going to go ahead and bring him back just a little bit, and as you can see, we already have him separated because this is where it starts and ends. So let's go ahead and see where we're at on our S, and we have a node right here, but that's really a little low for what I'd like. So I have a couple of options. I can either move my T down, which may be the best option for me, and go ahead and just bring that down, that little filler down a little bit, and then choose nodes again, and that puts it a lot closer to where we need to be. So now we'll simply divide on this node here, and we'll use our T and we'll snap it to the start point there, and then we'll take this node and snap it there. And as you can see, we've just successfully connected all of these. So let's start with our T, and we'll go order join, and everything is connected. Let's go ahead and combine group, and then we'll go back to our purple handles, and let's slide that puppy up into position in our mug rug. Now that's awfully tiny, so let's make it a tad bigger, shall we? So what do you think? Looks pretty good? That looks pretty good. I think maybe I'll take it down just a smidgen. Yeah, that looks better. So then I'm going to go ahead and echo this design, which is just my initials. So let's echo that. And I'm going to change my spacing. Remember, I had it at 0.8. I want to change that to 0.25 and go back to just one echo. So now I have it echoed so that looks kind of large. I think maybe I'll go about half that size. So let's go back to our original pattern. I have another screen attached to this one, and so my dialog box sometimes goes off the edge. That looks much better. So now I have my monogram, and I've echoed it. Now I think I'd like to add crosshatch to this. The easiest way for me to add crosshatch is to use my draw a line on the CAD. So I'm going to start over here at the right, and I'm going to work my way back to the other side. So let's start here, and with grid snap on, as you can see, we're going to go down and across. And yes, I know I just went through that letter, but it'll be okay because that echo line that we just drew is going to also work as a trim line or a fill line, which would probably work better. All right, that was a boo-boo, but we're going to fix that with our one of our new features, which is nodes. And I'll show you how to fix an oopsie. All right, so now I have drawn my crosshatch, one row of my crosshatch. And remember I told you I was going to show you how to fix that oopsie? Well, remember those nodes we have now? All I have to do is pull that puppy back in here and snap it to the grid, and I just fixed my problem. Now, because I have drawn one of my grids, I'm going to go ahead and mirror that for the bottom, because I don't think I'm going to have to trim much on the bottom or the top. The only part that's going to be an issue is in the center here, and so we're going to just draw what we need while we're there. So let's start by drawing the crosshatch that we would see on this side. And remember, this is little, so this is all going to be in our quilting space. Okay, so do you see why I did that? I did that so that I'm going to use this line, this echo, as the boundary. Let's go ahead and change that into a boundary. So I'm going to use that as a fill. Let's go ahead and see if we can grab that last pattern that we placed. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead and use that boundary as a fill, and I'm going to go fill outside. And you can see that it went ahead and ran along. It stopped at the top of the J. It ran out here, ran along the edge of that boundary, came back out, down, and back up. Now I will tell you that I am going to go back and stitch this once I take it to the machine, so that's going to be a stitching line as well, so I won't just have this little piece right here. So let's go ahead and while we're at it, we'll go ahead and change this one to fill as well, or to a boundary as well. Let's go find that. There it is. Let's go pattern to boundary. And now we'll select our first crosshatch and choose fill outside, because I want to fill outside these boundaries. And there's the first one. Let's go down here and grab this one and do the same thing. And then we're just going to go back and fill in these little spots here. Now you can see that we have a little teeny gap here, and what we're going to probably be better off doing is simply moving that node up and just kind of stretching that a little bit, rather than, I don't think it's, well, it doesn't look that terrific, does it? I guess we will go ahead and draw that one in. So let's go ahead and draw that in. This, 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 this. Stop there. Come up here. And we can go ahead and draw the rest of these in as well. Because we need to go ahead and use fill outside for that one, and we need to use fill outside for that one. Oops. And fill outside for that one. So now you can see it looks like we have crosshatch behind this. Let's go ahead and finish our other one off out here. And it's real easy. It's just going to go from grid snap to grid snap and finish that out. So as you can see, we'll go ahead and change our boundaries back to patterns. And boundary to pattern. And so now this is ready to take to the stitcher and stitch. Thank you so much for your time and watching this video. Again, my name is TJ Speiser, and you can find more information about me at www.stitchhappy.com. Thanks, and stitch happy.